It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
Welcome back to SportSense, everyone. This is the show for people who want to make sense out of sports. That was Dad's idea, and I think and now that I said it out loud, it's pretty clever, actually.
That's a good line, yeah. It might be the only one I ever have, so thanks for using it.
I think it's smooth. We'll stick with it for now. This week, for episode 26 of SportSense, we're diving into golf. Over the past week, we had a very important tournament, from what I hear. So I want to let you introduce us to that. I did a little research so I could know, at least have an inkling of what to even ask you about today. This is going to, by the way, for the listeners, this is going to kick off a series of kind of topical deep dives over the next few months while we wait for sports to get a little more exciting and newsworthy again, get a little closer to football season.
Don't forget your NHL hockey playoffs are getting ready to start, so we'll squeeze a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, Stanley Cup's starting pretty soon, but that goes for a long time. So
it does.
Yeah, we'll save that for a little bit. But we figured that today, since the Masters tournament just happened in the golf world, we're going to dive into what is this tournament, how does it fit into the bigger world of golf, and we want to highlight one particular golfer who we want you guys all to know his name by heart by the end of this episode. So, Dad, let's get into it. What's your elevator pitch for what the Masters tournament is?
Masters is played on what I believe the greatest golf course in the world. And what they do to perfect this course is beyond comprehension. And I'll have some tidbits and numbers later just about the course itself, right? But the mystique of it, the desire for the top level professional golfers in the world to win the Masters is really, especially for the U.S. golfers, definitely for the U.S. golfers, I think it's at top of the list. But let's put it in context. You said you wanted to learn a little bit more about it. The Masters is one of what they call the four major golf tournaments. They call it the majors. So just like they say the Masters, they don't say the Master Tournament. They just say the Masters.
Yeah,
they also just say the Grand Slam events, the four tournaments, right? So let's start with that because the Masters is one of them. It's interesting enough. It's the newest one. It was the 89th playing of the Masters. So it's 89 years old, and it's the newest of the what they call them of the Grand Slam events or the Grand Slam tournaments.
Okay.
So the four are, and this won't mean much to you, but the PGA Championship, which is a whole separate group. That's Professional Golf Association, but the PGA puts that on. And that
I have on my hat here. I have this hat that Mom got me.
So yes, that was the U.S. Open. So that was our second one. But the PGA moves around to different courses in the United States. Second one, which you just advertised right there, which we missed you last year, but we got you a hat. But we were all in Pinehurst last year watching the U.S. Open live on the first day on Thursday. It was awesome. It was hot, but it was awesome. That is your place of your birth, right? You've learned that this week. You're born in Pinehurst.
Yeah, nice. I just had to ask Mom that again the other day for some sort of birth certificate form or something.
Pretty cool. Second, the next is, now they call it the Open. Now I grew up all my life so we have PGA Championship, U.S. Open, and then they call it the Open. Now that's what I grew up.
Immediately. Yeah.
I grew up calling it the British Open.
Okay. I feel like I've heard that.
But the Brits and all the Europeans, they've never called it that. They've always just called it the Open.
Is that?
And they're very offended when you say the British Open.
But is it in Britain?
Yeah. It moves around Scotland, Ireland, mostly those countries, different courses.
Okay.
Right? Famous courses. Oh, famous.
So it's
some of these courses like 200 plus years old. I mean, it's crazy the age of these courses, some of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So the last is the Masters. So those are the four. It's called the Grand Slam.
Okay, and it sounds like three of those move around to different courses.
Bingo.
Okay.
Very astute, yeah.
And so every year, all four of these tournaments are held annually, right? Every single year.
Correct.
Okay, so we can anticipate hearing about these every year. those three that you just mentioned, the British Open, we'll call it, the U.S. Open, and the PGA Tour, all move around.
PGA Championship.
Oh, PGA Championship. They all move around to a different course every year. But gosh, what are we talking about? The Masters, that stays in Georgia every year, right?
Absolutely. It only stays at Augusta. The name of the course is actually Augusta National. National. A lot to pile on in there, but we're just getting warmed up.
Very romantic name. I don't know. It sounds nice. Augusta.
It's great. Yeah. Beautiful part of Georgia, that's for sure. It's beautiful.
And you were about to wax on about how crazy the course is?
Oh, well, yeah, let's talk about let's talk about the tournament first, the game, what just took place. Then I'll talk about the tidbits, kind of some crazy stuff about the course. How about that?
Okay.
I think it's a fun wrap up. No, go ahead.
Okay. Is this, you kind of made it sound like before you talked about all the other championship or all the other tournaments. Is this the most revered one, or where does this stand?
That's what I say. I think most players, if they're U.S. players, the European players, it could be the British Open or the Open might be their most revered, the one they've got to have to win. Okay. But I really think the majority of them, it's the Masters. I really do. I think if they had to choose one of I think if they had to choose one of the four, it would be the Masters, and then for the European players, maybe the Open. But I really think that's the case now. I guess I haven't ever seen a poll, but I believe that's probably the case.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering, as I was doing my little bit of research, I couldn't tell if there's a hierarchy. And I know you mentioned earlier, the Grand Slam is if you win all four of them in your career, right?
Correct. That's called the Career Grand Slam.
So
let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it sounded kind of like an EGOT in entertainment. You know what an EGOT is, right?
I don't. What's an EGOT?
It's like when you win a...
We got.
Yeah, you got EGOT. We all got Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award.
Gotcha.
So if you get all four of those, then you're in this.
EGOT. I have never heard of that. Wow.
I can't believe you haven't heard of that. Yeah.
Not that acronym for that. No, ever.
So this is in a similar way. You got four of these trophies in the golf world, biggest trophies.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so to tell you how rare it is, prior to our yesterday's winner, which we're going to talk about and get all excited about, I'm going to get all wound up about. Prior to that, only 5 other golfers in the history of golf, professional golf, have ever had a career Grand Slam.
Really?
Only 5.
Only 5. Holy cow. Okay.
And I'll name them for you. We aren't going to repeat them too often. You'll recognize 2 of the names, one of them for sure, maybe 2.
Yeah, let's see.
First one, it goes from the 20s on. So Gene Sarazen.
Oh, 1920s on? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is when.
Okay, yeah, never heard of that.
Age, so. Ben Hogan.
Okay.
Greatest amateur ever lived. Gary Player, dressed in black. He's 90 years old, and he just played the par 3 tournament. He is still playing golf.
Whoa.
He's a rock star.
And his last name is Player?
Yeah, Gary Player.
Great name.
He's from South Africa.
Okay, cool.
And then Jack Nicklaus, of course, you know him, Jack Nicklaus.
I always mix him up with Jack Nicholson, the actor. So,
but you know Jack Nicklaus.
I've heard that name, and I think I've always been like, I think I've always thought of the actor when I've heard that name. So he was
way better looking, and he was nicknamed the Golden Bear. He had this striking blonde hair, and he currently holds the record for the total number of majors. Okay, the Grand Slam. You call these 4 events as majors. Right. 4 majors. They're all called majors. So he's got 18 majors to wins.
Okay.
The last man to do it, who did it at the youngest age of 24, would be who? Who's the greatest? Really, some people said the greatest golf. Tiger Woods.
He's the only name I know. Yeah.
He did it at age 24. But what's most unique about what Tiger did is that he did it. No one's ever done all 4 in their calendar year, right? Nobody's ever done it from January to December.
Okay.
But he did do the 4, which is mind blowing. In 2001, he did 4 in 365 days.
Oh, cool. Okay.
He missed the first one of the year, and then he won 3 in a row and won the first of the next year. So he won 4 in a row, and nobody's ever touched that.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? And that's how good he was. And then he got hurt. And of course, his lifestyle got him in some trouble. And everybody knew he was going to blow away Jack Nicklaus's majors record, but he didn't. He got stopped at 15 at this point.
Okay.
And, but so those are the only ones there. So only 5 prior.
I want to have oh, sorry. I just want to say I want to have a Tiger Woods deep dive one of these days because, it did seem like he was like the best golfer of all time, and then like kind of went radio silent for a while. Maybe because of that.
He wasn't silent. The world wasn't silent about him, but yeah.
Right. I mean, as far as golf,
successful playing, yes.
Career just stopped, which I guess.
Yeah, he about killed himself in an auto accident. Prior to that, he killed himself morally within, got himself in all sorts of trouble and everything. Anyway.
Okay.
So Tiger Woods is the most remarkable majors winner in terms of 4 in a sequence, even though it straddled 2 years. Mind blowing.
And so young. That's crazy.
Yeah, did it the youngest at age 24. But
the last one before who you're about to introduce.
Correct.
To win all 4 majors.
Correct.
Okay.
So who I've been pulling for, and I put up the little bracket your brother-in-law did for us this year. I put them to win, but there was I didn't win the bracket. He did, but anyway, it was fun. So Rory McIlroy.
Now,
this is what's embarrassing. Look that up real quick. He's Irish. Okay, he's Irish, not Scottish. He's Irish. I even sent you, I believe, on Instagram. Found it today, a clip of when he was 8 years old on a TV talk show in Ireland.
Okay.
See if you can see it. It's fascinating. But Rory McIlroy won. So here's the key. Rory is age 35 now. They were calling him basically the white Tiger Woods. He was coming on the heels of Tiger Woods. And he, at the age of 24, had won 3 majors.
Okay. So he was following suit pretty close.
Yeah, not the same, not as big, not as much as Tiger. Nobody ever do what he did early on. But he won 3, and I think it was in 3 years, like 1 each year of the different majors. But he did not win the Masters. So every year, that pressure started building. So that was 11 years ago.
Okay.
He won his last major.
Wow.
And he's like been on one of the top golfers of the world, but somehow he hadn't won another major either. He had a little dip in his career. He was so young. Gosh, he was a late teenager when he started playing Masters the first time. So it's a fascinating story. Anyway, I think he's a really neat guy, but he was single and dated and he didn't really, he got married a few years later. And they kind of had some troubles for a little while, but they've stuck together. They got a daughter named Poppy, who's 3 or 4 years old. Anyway, so I think that settled him down quite a bit and just kind of calmed him down. Not that he was bad or doing that. I'm just saying gave him some balance or perspective. I think, balance in his life.
Yeah.
And maybe help him play golf better. But each year that passed of these past 11 years, it kept building. And of course, every year the writers would write about it. Oh, when's he going to get the career slam? When's he going to get the Masters? When can he win it and complete the career Grand Slam, being the number 6 man?
So basically, every tournament he's gone in has had a ton of pressure.
Well, he's had a lot of pressure, but it's the Masters particularly. The others, he's already won those, and he wins other tournaments. He was winning lots of tournaments. That wasn't a problem. He wasn't winning, and he didn't win the Masters. He wanted to get that money. So you can imagine he had all his shaggy curly hair when he was young, just a happy big smile, that Irish accent. Now he's shaved it pretty tight, and he's got gray hair and temples, and he looks like an older man. He's 35, but he looks. He's getting up there in age.
He's older than 35 to me. I was looking at pictures.
Yeah, I think this thing has really strained him for many years. So it's been 11 years that he was not able to do it. So that's the backdrop. That's the context and how bad, not only how bad he wanted it, but really the golfing world, I think, really wanted it. He's always been a really good guy. People, on the tour like him, fans, huge fans. I mean, when Tiger got off the, tour, he's one of the most popular.
Okay.
So they always follow him. You always hear Rory. I mean, it's, he's got a ton of fans. So anyway, so that's the build up. So he starts the tournament this week, and they had great weather the whole week. It was beautiful. And I'll talk about the course and some things a little bit. So we don't have the time because we're kind of doing a mini, but But that sets the tone. How much pressure I'm sure he puts on himself, right? And he learned to kind of balance that out and get his mind right the best he could. Well, I can't go over ups and downs, but the best way to describe, if you were to put a blinking sign on this discussion today, it would be roller coaster.
Okay.
The man absolutely it was on a roller coaster. He was near the top most of the tournament, but he didn't lead after 18, didn't lead after 36. He didn't lead. Let's see, he led after 54. That was the third round. He led. And, but just so I'm going to fast forward to Sunday at the Masters. I mean, it's just, the world stops pretty much. And we had all our family over here and it was insane, but we can't talk about the food today, but pimento cheese sandwiches, egg salad sandwiches, those are like the top 2 sellers there. Little side note, cool tidbit. At the Masters.
You mean those are the...
Yes.
Okay.
Cool tidbit is they still sell them for the same price they sold them forever ago, $1.50 a sandwich.
Really?
Yep. And that's just one of their things that they're known for. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we had those here, and then Mom made homemade BLTs that were incredible.
$10 in tax, though. You gotta offset that cost somehow.
You can't even get into the Masters.
It's welcome.
Fan. Yeah. So I got to give you a little insert of a tidbit.
Okay.
They had over 2 million requests for tickets this past year for just average Joe, 2 million, and they granted only 1%. Because so many tickets are part of club members and family. It's generational. People put it in their will to hand down their generational tickets.
Holy cow.
It's insane.
The golf seems like, even beyond baseball, like we are traditional. Like it's old school. Like how it seems like they're trying to hold on to the good
particularly this one. This one and the U.S. Open. I think other ones are doing different things. Like I said, we talked about Tigers and Rory. They're the 2 guys that did that league we talked about, right? That was indoors and all that. And so that, there's some changes coming, but traditional would be the absolute perfect word for the Masters and how they run it. So anyway, so that's the backdrop. So he starts the day 2 strokes ahead. He was 12 under. And DeChambeau, I don't know if you've heard about him. They call him the mad scientist. They only put 2 in a pair on the final day and the final 2 days. Anyway, he was at 10 under. So he was a second place and they played together. And they're not best of friends. You know what I mean? Nobody, DeChambeau kind of has his own crazy world he lives in.
So in these tournaments, you have to play alongside a competitor every hole. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah. You get matched. They're called pairings.
Okay.
Exactly. And Masters does a little different. The first 2 days of the Masters, you play with the same 3 other guys. The first 2 days. There's 4 days. First 2 days. Play with the same guys. You're a foursome, correct. Then they have the cut. They cut out half the field who didn't make it. And then you cut down to 2 players per pairing for Saturday, Sunday. Okay. And they just do it and then that pairing is made by your score. So your top 2 players play against each other, bam, on down the list.
Okay.
The lowest. So that's how they set up the pairings.
I guess
of
I
course
always
you do
think
that.
they just played by themselves.
No.
Like I've only ever seen video clips where they're kind
Wow, this is a good discussion then. I guess I didn't realize where we needed to go on our basics here. Yes, they're always playing a group. There's always a pairing.
Right.
And this tournament golf for this is only 2 in the final 2 days. So you play and the reason it makes sense, right? You want drama, you want head-to-head competition too. So you put your top 2 all the way down. You kind of stack.
So they kind of get in each other's heads. They're watching each other's shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's rhythm to it, and you pull. And of course, they're watching. Also, they know what's going on in front of them. If somebody get hot, if somebody take the lead away from them. So the opening hole, and I can't go on forever because I can almost tell you every hole after I watched. There's a way you can go on Masters.com. You can watch. I watched every shot of his today. It only took like 4 minutes because it's just clip, 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 clip.
Cool.
But anyway, he started 12 under. DeChambeau was 10 under. Bryson's his name, and. Right. He double bogeys the first hole.
Rory does?
Rory does.
Yikes. That's that's a level I'm playing.
So just like that, after the first hole, they're tied.
Okay.
And all I can tell, what did I tell you to name this segment? What was the word?
Hold on. I got it. Glowing sign. It said.
I said beacon, like beep, beep, beep.
Gosh.
That represents
roller coaster.
There you
Roller
go.
coaster. Yeah.
I'm really
Okay.
proud of you.
So yeah,
So
it
the
was
final
smooth.
day's roller coaster really started right there from
Okay.
the first hole. Later, when he's interviewed, he said in some ways it actually helped him relax. He said he got it out of his system. And there's nobody, I'm not going to mention names, but a player a few years back did the same thing. He had the lead, had a double bogey to start, and then went on and won the whole thing. So in his mind, he kept saying, I'm just going to do what John Rahm did. That's who it was. John Rahm did a few years ago. And so that he said it really helped him relax, actually, surprisingly. But then all I can tell you, it was up and back and forth. But ahead of them was the guy who led. He's 44 years old. They call him Rosie. His last name's Rose. And he's from Scotland or Ireland, one of the two. Anyway, he was ahead of him. And he had led the first 2 rounds. He got on fire. He had 10 birdies out of 18 holes. Now, had some bogeys, but he screamed up the chart, if you will. And he ended up, and DeChambeau, all I'm going to say is there were birdies, and Rory had 2 double bogeys total in the 18. Great. No one expected he could survive that, but he kept birdieing when he needed to. And he made shots, Cooper. He bent a 7-iron, 207 yards out and around a pine tree, and within 4 feet of the hole.
So he like curved the bullet.
Yeah, curved it. It was unbelievable. I mean, this was with all the pressure of the world and 11 years for him on his back. Make a long story short, he made shots, putts. He screwed up some along the way. I mean, it was back and forth. Wow. At one point, so in the first 3 holes, DeChambeau birdied the second hole. He went from being up 2 to down 1 in 2 holes. And then off they went, back and forth. DeChambeau kind of bombed out after a few holes, kind of dropped back, but that Rose started coming up, and he was right there on his heels. At one point, McIlroy, that's old tennis. McIlroy lost the lead twice, 2 different times during the 18 holes. He lost the lead and had to come back.
That's interesting though, because it kind of makes you like when you're just always in the lead, you're maybe scared of losing what you have. But if you're a little behind, I think, at least for me in life, I feel like that's always like, I like having something to prove a little bit. And maybe that helped him relax.
Well, no doubt he had to unleash. At one point, though, where he was down the stretch where he had the lead, he was trying to play, and he said, I try to play smart. It's a really tricky hole, par 5. It's usually a birdie hole for sure. And he had a 3-wood off the tee, right? Since not a driver, but a 3-wood, which means he's just trying to keep it straight, not as far. Then he laid up. There's a creek there. It's a famous creek called Ray's Creek right in front of the green. He laid up. He was only 82 or 87 yards from the pin.
For people who don't know what laid up means, you mean he shot his ball so it's just in front of the creek, right?
Yeah.
He was planning on shooting.
He didn't want to risk going for get on the green in 2 for par 5. He didn't want to risk that by getting in the creek or anything. Yeah. And he was a little bit, he said, on upslope. I've heard all the interviews. Upslope, a little bit of tricky. He hit the wedge, and he hit the wedge a little short, and it hit the edge of the green and rolled right back into the creek. This is down the stretch.
Oh, that hurts.
So instead of making a birdie, which he should have normally made, he got a bogey.
Oh man!
So anyway. So when I say roller coaster,
you're saying he made a lot of bad mistakes.
Not a lot, but he had 2 or 3 that were just got him really close, which is what happens there. But he made miraculous shots at other times in the same round.
So and by the end, it was
he never collapsed. He never collapsed. So on the final hole, he was 1 stroke up. He played his drive perfectly. It's par 4, uphill. Beautifully played his drive perfectly, and then he didn't have that far out really, but he clipped the ball a little. Whatever it was, thin, a little. He didn't hit it as normal good stroke, and it went in the bunker behind the green sand trap.
Okay.
So he got the ball out, got within about 6 feet. Still should have been. It was a good line. He was below the hole or beside the hole. 6 feet. All he had to do was roll it in. He wins it. He's up 1 stroke at this point. Okay. Everybody else is done, right? Because he's last man standing.
Oh wait, why was he last? Because he was
when you lead, you're the last one playing. You're the last group playing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So everybody else has already posted their score. and the guy beside him was 4
So
strokes
he
back.
has the full pressure of that shot.
6 feet. I mean, normally I think relaxed, he could close his eyes and make it. But it was very fast putt, and he had to be very careful. So he barely tapped it, and it ran, and it held, and it held, and it held until the very last 2 or 3 inches. It went just to the left of the cup and stopped.
Wait, he didn't make it?
He didn't make it. He got a bogey.
Wait, I thought you were talking about the last hole.
I am.
Because I saw a video of him.
Listen. Calm down.
Okay.
That's hole 72. That is the last hole of the tournament.
Okay.
But guess what happens when you tie? You immediately have a playoff.
Oh, so the top 2.
So Rose had been on the practice range, staying warm, hitting balls just in case.
Oh, wow.
So you would think that would have crushed him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had it. He had the win. But I mean, that shows you how his favorite word now is resilient. That's how resilient he was. He somehow picked himself up from that. It takes a few minutes to get everybody together. And they went back to the same 18th hole, right? Because they kept the fans, right? Replay that hole with Rose.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in his group. He was the one earlier, two groups ahead. So he comes back. It's him and Rose, and they're friends. They're good buddies. And they're friends. But I don't even think I could hit a ball. But somehow,
I'd be just trembling all over.
They both laced their drives beautifully, just rocketed them down. And this time, instead of hitting in the trap, so Rose goes first because Rory outdrove him. So the one that's farthest away hits the ball first out of the fairway.
Right.
So Rose drives, and he hits a nice one. I can't remember, maybe 10, 12, 14 feet out, but it was a good shot, real good shot. But then McIlroy, this is what I'm saying. Just the pressure. And I was watching up with your brothers and brother-in-law. The insanity of the kids had kind of left, and we had a few moments to watch the ending. I mean, the fans there's thousands and thousands, because all the fans are now surrounding the 18th green, right? Sure. Fairway and green. They've all accumulated from the whole course because they followed the last group. Anyway, he hits his second shot. He stiffs it 4 feet. 4 feet from the hole. Okay. I mean, stiff means you hit it perfectly, basically.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I thought
he's only 4 feet from the hole.
Cool. So he's like, he has he putt for him. He just said it.
So he has the weight, and Rose putts his, and he barely misses it, but he missed his birdie putt.
Okay.
So he taps it in for par, and then it leaves McIlroy his opportunity. McIlroy just barely tapped this one too, and it drained right in the heart of it. Okay. And that's when he collapsed. But if you watch it, and you have to be a golf fan and keep up with everybody, but I've been watching for years. I always love watching. We've watched him play in Pinehurst last summer, so it was fun. But he really collapsed, and he's just heaving. His body is heaving, crying so hard.
Okay, yeah, I saw the video. So I couldn't tell if he was just laughing with joy.
No, he is red faced and crying. I mean, so it's just like it exercised all those true demons of 11 years. I mean, I don't know how heavy that rock felt, but it was hundreds of pounds, like
just
metaphorically.
So long, and now it's finally over. Yeah.
And he did it. And I think he's going to be playing best golf he's ever played, probably because he's so good, and now he's relaxed. I don't think he's going to feel a stressed bone in his body now. Cool. But isn't that cool? So that's what's so amazing. I mean, that's, to me, it's just watching that ebb and flow, and it just makes you crazy. Yeah. Now, those that don't like golf or never played it can't appreciate the shots they make are beyond comprehension when you play like I've played most of my life off and on, and I'm an ultimate hacker amateur. To watch them, I love the drama and watch it play, but the shots they make under that pressure, and not to mention, on every tee box, you see all those people lined up, and they're all sticking their head out like this, looking at the thing. Yeah. And you're teeing off. I would kill 30 people by now just in the first tournament.
I can't believe nobody gets hit, but I guess they're so good. They're not worried about it.
So good and focused. They just don't. They hit them around the greens and things in the fairway sometimes when they lose it out there. But then in that shoot, I call it the shoot. In that shoot, I don't know. Maybe somebody's been hit before, but
so funny because you trained us all our lives. You never are in front of anybody hitting a ball,
right?
Because now we're all, and I have hit Casey before.
Yes, you have, and about hit him another time.
We'll have to tell that story some other time. That was statistically insane.
Okay,
But,
so that's the scoop. So I think the golf world, who are true golf fans, just the place shook. I heard the ground shook there when he made it. And
yeah.
I mean, so I'm thrilled. I love it. I'm so happy for him. But again, if you never played, mom or some of the other ladies that were here yesterday, my daughters-in-law, they glance at it and it just him doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing. That's no different than an ant walking across the sidewalk to them. What is it?
Why are you so riveted to the TV?
Yeah, we were freaking out. And the problem is when he missed that putt, all the guys had to race home because they had kids that need to get bathed in bed. So they were all trying to get home to see the extra hole, the playoff hole. And I sat there by myself like this, my eyes just glued, going, come on. It was, anyway.
Dang. Well, I guess I wish I had tuned in. You should have given me a heads up.
Well, you're busy.
It is a tricky time right now.
More important thing. Okay, so that's really all I have to say about that because we can go on, but that's all I got to say about that. I can answer any of your questions right now.
Well, all you got to say was about 20 minutes. So
yeah, there you go.
Good job. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that story a little bit. But I did have a couple questions again, just to get back to kind of our topical coverage of this. So. First of all, I wish Rory McIlroy had an easier name to say. Tiger Woods is much more fun and easy to say.
Yes.
So he's got to work on his brand a little bit.
You blame his mama.
I mean, and I never really officially had a hard time, but if I try to say words like regularly or Rory, I will start to. My mouth doesn't like that. Yeah.
You inherited that from me. I think I could never say my father's short name when everybody called him Roy. I had to work hard to say Roy or World War II. I had to work really hard. I have those struggles. So and rivalry was my hardest one. I had to really work on rivalry. Yeah.
Yeah. Putting like W's and R's and that kind of thing close together is a pain in the butt. So anyways, so that was just my random note, but when I was looking up stuff about him, I saw that he in his super emotive celebration, he just wrapped his arms around his caddy. We haven't talked about caddies at all.
No.
So I wanted to ask really quick. It seemed like because I've always seen caddies, and I figured that they were like an apprentice or like a I don't know, almost like someone provided by the tournament. I didn't realize how there could be a really strong bond or relationship.
So yes. So they're team. They really are a team. They are a team.
So tell me tell us really quick how are caddies selected? What do they do? And how important are they to a win like this?
They're critical. I don't have time to go in and tell you all the preparation they do, but they spend hours upon hours upon hours on the course during the week before they even play, after their round, walking the course, measuring. They have those thick books. I mean, they're critical, and they got to be psychologists. They got to be motivators. They got to be experts in wind. They got to be experts in elevation changes. They got to be experts in length, knowing how far their player can hit a cut versus a draw versus what. They're unbelievable. But what makes that one so special? And I'll stop there. So they're unbelievable. They choose their own at the pro level. They choose their own, right?
Okay.
And this is their team. And basically, caddies get 10% of the winning purse, so it's not bad. So for him, that caddy made $420,000.
Okay.
This tournament, because the purse for Rory was $4.2 million, so he gets 10% of that.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So anyway, but what makes them great? These boys grew up together, and they were each other's best men at their weddings.
No way. Okay.
So they're that tight. So this is their lifelong journey together.
Wow. So has he been his caddy like his whole career?
Ever since, yeah. Ever since he really started playing seriously.
Really cool.
For I'd say, I can't tell you what year, but either from the very beginning or just right afterwards.
And his name is Harry Diamond, which is a great name. They should just switch names if Rory's going to be the face of them. Go by Harry Diamond and make the caddy Rory McIlroy. The
Harry Diamond team.
Yes, yeah. So anyway,
I'm sure Harry would love to hear that.
So cool. That was. Oh, sorry, I'm stumbling, but your story makes sense with a line that I heard in one of the videos, some of the homework I did, where somebody called it one of the most emotional masters he had ever seen. And it sounds like it's all because of this story of Rory McIlroy. And so congrats to him, I guess. And I might have to go watch, like I said, I saw that last shot, but I might have to go watch that little 4-minute highlight reel.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not jazzed up. You're just seeing each shot, pure shot. So it's fun. I'd go at least go watch the highlights that have been dubbed in, shows movement and sound, and yeah.
Well, congrats to him. And so we wanted everybody to know his name as well as, Tiger Woods by the end of this episode. Rory McIlroy, as hard as it is to say, he's the man, the man of the hour right now. So
yeah,
really quick, I have two little trivia things that aren't a question. It's not a pops quiz for you. It's just two things that came across.
Throw it at me. Yeah.
That I just wanted to know more about. So what is the green jacket about with the Masters?
Okay, we'll do that real quick. That's just part. See, these guys, whenever they started it 8-9 years ago, they were just trying to separate themselves from these other majors and other tournaments, right? They were trying, and that you get your trophy, which the trophy's crazy cool. Go look at it sometime. But the green jacket, I mean, I've seen the funniest memes about this. How let's think about making up a tournament, and they come up with all this crazy stuff, and it really is what happened. But that's what you're awarded: a green jacket and a trophy.
Okay.
So you covet the green jacket. No other tournament gives that away ever, any of them. So the green jacket. That's winning. That's winning the Masters.
Is that from the inception of the Masters? Have they always done that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it looks good. I saw him in the jacket in the pictures. I was like, dang, they need to make more suits that color. That looks good.
That is the cool thing. And then, by the way, when you win a Masters once, you have a lifetime invitation to play. No matter how bad you fall off the map, you have lifetime invitation to play.
Interesting. Well, cool. So even that 90-year-old you mentioned earlier in the episode.
Yeah, he's always invited, and he's not going to play the full. He backed out many years ago playing the full tournament. But they have a par 3 tournaments for families and kids and stuff for the families on Wednesday before the tournament starts, and he'll go out and play that. And he has his grandchildren, great grandchildren out there with caddying and hitting ball. Anyway, that's the whole week of the Masters is just so cool. It's so cool.
Well, maybe this will play into that, which is the last thing. I heard an interviewer ask Rory McIlroy, what's he cooking next year? So is there like some sort of tradition with the
yes, good question. So the winner of the Masters, the next year, the next Masters, they have a dinner every Tuesday night, and at the dinner is for all the former Masters winners who can make it there, and then of course any of the players that'll be playing that. So it's only for the Masters winners. That's it. And the chairman of the board, the chairman of Augusta National. That's it. That one guy.
The previous winner has to cook it?
No, don't cook it, but he decides the menu.
Okay.
So he picks the menu. So everybody has a lot of fun with that, what they pick.
Do they get funky with it and just pick some weird stuff sometimes?
There's some different, not so much weird, but they definitely do their own style, somewhat, depending who they are. Yeah. They had a couple wild winners who had burgers and beer, and wings. And I mean, they do different things, but that's what that's about.
Okay. Well,
another tradition. Yeah.
Man, well, very cool. Well, that was very fun, and for everybody, again, that was our Masters deep dive.
Gotcha. Let me close it with something.
Oh, yes. What do you got?
And one thing we might even can talk about, but they keep the secret so tight about the things they do for that course and how they run that course. But here's a couple things that have been leaked out and proven, had little tours of little bits of it. But with a Masters tournament, if you go to any other tournament, just like we were in Pinehurst for U.S. Open last year, you'll see personnel working, driving golf carts everywhere. It's got the ice, it's got the beer, the supplies, and they're running everywhere and working everywhere, right? The Masters, you never see that anywhere. You do not see a person hauling a big case of water anywhere. They have tunnels built all under that complex. And you don't know, one tunnel is big enough, the main tunnel that supplies it. They have allowed that video to come out. 2 semi trucks can go side by side. That's how big that tunnel is. So then they have elevators that shoot up to the different merchandise tent, all the concessions. They have different elevators go straight up with the supplies.
That's crazy. So it's
just a little bit of the crazy. They got tunnels to do. And then lastly, you'd be fascinated. I know you'd be fascinated. They have the agronomy team on this place. It's there's so many agronomy. I mean, the grass and all the soil and everything. But during that week, they have 100 to 150 to 160 volunteers on top of their staff, to really one team might be 2 or 3 people, and their only job is to work on one sand trap all week. When the people come through, I mean, if there's a piece of grass gets in there in between plays, they're raking it out, cleaning it perfect.
Okay.
The things they do, it is the most perfect, immaculate course in the world. There's nothing close to it.
Cool.
But the staff and what they have to do it and what they spend. But they've got the famous, they call it the B formation. When they mow, they do it by design. They have a B, and it has upwards.
A B or a V?
V, not B. V. It
Okay.
goes like this. It's got a lead mower, and all these riding mowers fan out.
Whoa.
And they overlap each other just a hair, and that's how they go down a fairway. About 20 or 30 mowers.
So like a goose formation, like a flying V goose formation.
Yep. It's so
That's
cool.
so funny.
You ought to see. You see clips of it. Just look it up. But most of the things that they do, they keep to themselves. There's all big secrets out there. And the one interview I watched is a former worker there, a former agronomist that worked there, who was one of the greenskeepers, and he's dark and they've lowered his voice, and it says anonymous.
You're kidding.
The things he shared about it, yeah. Because
it's not like
when you leave, you sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, man. You don't tell you can't tell.
I get like not
about
sharing a secret recipe to like a product you're selling or something, but like, why not share the secrets for how to grow the best grass or whatever they're doing? I don't know. I guess because it's all about keeping that course the most prestigious or whatever.
That's right. All right, that's enough. Sorry, talked too much, but I told you I knew that I could get rolling on the Masters. This year particularly.
Yes, we'll have to see if the rest of the tournaments this year are anywhere close to as exciting. But thanks so much for the deep dive there, Dad. And with that, let's sign off and let you go take care of business tonight.
All right, see you, Coop.
We'll see you next week.
SportSense.